No one teaches you that your income in your 20s is less about effort and more about positioning. My biggest income jump didn't come from working more hours. It came from changing how I thought about value, and I'm gonna teach you too. So let's get right into the video. Phase 1, stop thinking like an employee. Maybe you've heard this before, maybe you haven't, but thinking like an employee looks like, how do I do my job well? How do I make sure that they like this? How do I do that? How do I please them? High earners think, how do I make myself hard to replace? You shift your thinking from task-based value. So for me, I'm a video editor and video producer, so I'm not gonna think like, I want them to love this video. I want them to know that this process took so long in the video. They don't care. They hired me to do a good job, so they wanna see good results. I shifted that task-based thinking into an outcome-based value. You need to ask yourself questions like, what problems does your boss lose sleep over? I'm serious. So as a creative, I know that the hardest thing is telling a story. How do they want to tell that story differently than people experience it, especially if it's something that's common? Then you have to ask yourself what metrics actually matter. So sometimes people don't care about how many views they got. That's a really big help. Yes, a video that gets 2.4 million views, that's great. That's awesome. It's a bonus. But the metrics might be, how long did people watch? Did they see the goal in the video? For you, it could be you're an engineer, you could be a dentist, you could be a lawyer, you can be anything. What metrics are people looking for consistently? And what do people talk about as a metric of success? It depends on whatever occupation you're in. Next, where is revenue coming from? So in the social media, video production world, all that is coming from marketing. Are people's eyes actually on the things? And do people stop and look at the billboards more, or do people look at the social media series? Do they look at the YouTube long form series? Those are questions that I have to answer. For you, your revenue might come through sales. Your revenue might come through commission. Like, I don't know what it is for you, but you do. And then where is the money being lost? So what are they funneling so much money out that if you solved a problem that helped them save 25% of that, found someone who could do an in-house job, or found contractors that could do that, like, you have to be the problem solver and not when someone asks, before they ask. Look at all the inefficiencies when you first get there. Don't tell people, just start noting it and finding solutions, finding other companies. They might even be different companies. You could be working at a car dealership, but you found what worked for a dentist office, and create a model that makes sense for the car dealership company. You get what I'm saying? If you can increase revenue, save time, reduce cost, and improve efficiency, I promise you, you are going to be very, very hard to replace. That becomes the leverage, and leverage equals pay power. Phase number 2 is skill stacking. Oh, this is my favorite phase. It is probably one of the more underrated strategies. Instead of trying to be exceptional at one thing, combine your complementary skills. For me, bilingual is important. I started taking a language that people who don't look like me or sound like me would ever do. And the minute I become fluent in it, it is going to probably 5x my salary, because that means I can communicate with different clients that fluently speak that way, and they know that I'm the only one in the office that can do that. So other examples can look like, if you work in marketing, pair that with data analysis. If you work in administration, pair that with tech automation. Anything that makes your current job better or easier or faster, that can help your skill stacking or bringing in more money. It might not be better or faster. It just might mean more clientele, and that's also good. You really don't need to be the best. You need to be uncommon. Like, seriously, a needle in a haystack. Uncommon skills have higher pay. I followed like this creative online on Instagram. They get paid like $5 grand per project, per client, and they have like 20 plus clients a month. They redesign presentation PowerPoints. So they, from that ugly PowerPoint templates that you have, they literally redesign it so it feels more like an experience. $5 grand per person. Come on, man. Come on. Phase number 3, increase exposure, not just effort. Hard work in a low visibility job does not scale income. You could be the hardest worker on your team, but if you have low visibility to the value that creates, it is going to be so hard to see more money unless you go to another job or new leadership comes in that sees that value. Volunteer for visible projects. It might be the most boring way to spend a Saturday morning, but it's a visible volunteer project. It shows you're willing, it shows you're able, and it shows that you show up up. You might not want to do it, but every once in a while, be the person that does. Ask to present results. Talk with people who already do it well. Get mentorship from people that already do it well and figure out how you can be the best in that. Presentation skills and public speaking is tough. I love it. Can't say I'm not nervous when I do it, but the more I do it, the more that I become better at it. Document your achievements. Go on LinkedIn, create it right now. If you're watching this video without a LinkedIn, after it, create a LinkedIn. You don't have to go on there and tell everybody what you're doing, but when you take a certification for free and you get a cute little certification ID, you can add that to your LinkedIn to show people I'm skill stacking. I'm getting better because I want to. When you go and attend a conference and maybe you meet someone there that's notable, that's a connection right there. That is a talking point at a lunch, at a dinner. All in all, keep a wins folder. This is a folder where you have some great pictures that showcase some awesome things that you did in relation to your occupation or to your passion on how you see the occupation getting better or that company getting better. And you need receipts in numbers. Revenue increased by X%. Reduce the time it usually took on this project over the span of 6 months by this amount. Improved engagement by X. Now you have to know how to get to these numbers, and you got to really fact check, double check, have someone look at your work, someone you truly trust, because the more specific numbers that you have, the better the negotiation leverage is. Phase 4, treat income like a negotiation skill. Most people never negotiate. It's actually so crazy to me how many people say yes to the first offer. And it could just be dependent on a number of things. You have been looking for a job for months and you're like, I want to say yes to the first thing. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are in the final stages and if you are at the negotiation process, it's a good chance that they're expecting you to negotiate. So say a number a little bit higher than your actual number and decide to do something based off of that. Like, you have to decide what makes most sense for you. Some people are in different circumstances. Some of y'all are single, unmarried, like single officially, like you may be dating someone, but you're not married. Single, no kids, rent and groceries are your biggest thing. Some of y'all married, 4 kids, rent, car note, groceries, medical bills are your thing. You have to make the best decision off of the lifestyle you are currently in, not the one you want to be in. And so yeah, a little extra money might go a long way. So aim high. And sometimes you're not always going to get it in a monetary form. It might be the benefits or the incentives that come with it. So you might get free gym membership. So great. Now you can knock off $30 to $50 a month. Or you might get a wellness stipend. So you can get a massage if you have chronic back pain. I don't know what it is, but you have to think and look at the whole package. Research the market rate before you get there. And before you say a number that is so egregious, they're like, do you understand what field you're even working in? Do your research. Kind of wait until after delivering results too. So if you don't necessarily get a negotiation right up there, they're like, no, like this is the hard number right now. Be like, okay, well, would you be open to after a 6-month assessment that we can revisit this conversation based off of the results given? They might say yes, they might say no, but at least in the back of their mind, they know this is a really big important piece to this person and they're still willing to come now and do great work now. But you do have to ask yourself at the end of the day, what would it take for me to be considered for X salary, whatever the salary is, instead of, can I get a raise? Everyone wants a raise, but no one ever shows the results on why they deserve it. You have to ask what metrics would justify a raise to X number. And lastly, phase 5, focus on increasing earning capacity. Saving more is a defensive strategy. Earning more is an offensive strategy. The more certifications that you get, the more skill building that you have with return on investment, something that you can directly contribute to the company, it is going to completely change the trajectory of what the raise could look like. Or just honestly what you sign on the job as. I know a few people in my life who have decided like my company keeps overlooking me, or my company doesn't think that they can do a certain number after a year or two, and they interview with other places and they get them to get the right amount of money that works for them. Some people care about profit over passion. Some people care about passion over profit. You know you. Sometimes a company switch is best for you to get where you need to go based off of where your life is at and where you need it to be in the future. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes you're in a great situation. It might not be the pay you like, but it's the benefits that get you there, and it won't be forever, or maybe it is forever and you're like, this is great. I'm in a place, a state where I'd raise my kids and do this, and there's benefits when they get to college. You have to look at everything and you have to think a little bit further than just the next 5 years. Don't forget this, geographic pay differences. Geographic pay differences. So if you live on the East Coast and you accept a job in the West Coast, $70K looks so different in both of those places. Hear me out. It is much more affordable to live in the Southeast than it is to live live in California all day, every day. Your 70K in the East Coast might work in Florida, but I promise you in California, you will be at best being able to find a studio that's not gonna run you half the rent. Choose wisely. Look at what it costs to live in the area you want to before accepting a job. You can also look at remote roles in a higher paying market. And that's kind of honestly like a good sweet spot. If you get an opportunity to have a 3-2 or a 4-1, and if you're not familiar with what that is yet, a 3-2 is basically your 3 days in office, 2 days at home, 4 days in office, or 1 day at home. That gives you an opportunity to still kind of build multiple things. And at the end of the day, whatever company that you're at, whatever company you're trying to get a raise in, get an increase, start in when you're getting the job, have a side hustle. Side income is gonna be your best friend because you just never know when you're gonna need that extra $400 or $500. Not a random hustle culture moment. Ask yourself, what skill do I already have? Some of us, it can be photography, it can be coding, it can be construction. And then ask yourself, what do people naturally ask me for help with? If people are always like, ugh, I just cannot get this phone to stop glitching out, and you just know a certain thing in there. Find out side hustles that are like what, 4 to 5 hours a day, or maybe, 10 hours a week that you can get some side hustle money from. I know a lot of people sign up for DoorDash or even TaskRabbit. If you're good with building things, TaskRabbit is a great app that I've heard a lot of my friends use. And when they can't build a shoe rack or build their standing desk, they hire someone for like $25 an hour and they get them to get it done. There's so many ways to make side hustle income. So think about also what you're passionate about. If right now your job that you're headed in is more profit-based than it is passion-based, that way you can win in multiple areas. Some other underrated side hustle incomes are resume editing. I promise you, that is so helpful, especially when you're trying to get a job and the best paying one. If you learn how to resume edit and actually have people that see success stories through getting that job simply because you edited their resume, that's a side hustle. Hop on it. Social media consulting, but you actually got to have results. For me, I feel like I would be someone that is qualified to do that with over almost 20,000 subscribers on YouTube, 200,000 on TikTok, 80,000 combined from 2 Instagrams, and brand deals I can visibly show that I have done in my portfolio. That would qualify me to do social media consulting for people just starting out. Also leave this emoji if you're interested in that, because that would be actually pretty cool if I like set that up in the future. Thinking about it, not sure yet. Tutoring, math and me, unless it's like money, doing my rent, budgeting, we go together. The Pythagorean theorem is the only thing I could tell you about. Okay, let's move on. UGC, user generated content. I don't know when or how we got here, but it's kind of like for athletes, NIL if you can UGC it out, people see 20, 30 grand a month. Figure it out, do the research. This is not the video for that. Virtual assistants, sometimes people simply just need someone to manage their life. Figure out how to do that. And digital templates, oh my gosh, $10. I can't tell you how many $10 budget trackers I have purchased and used once, but they got that $10. All I'm saying, that's all I'm saying. Start with skill-based incomes. It will scale so much better than delivery apps, I promise. Instead of work harder, say your income reflects 3 things: skill stacking, visibility, advocating for yourself. At the end of the day, it is possible. However you want it done, you have a framework of how it can get started. Keep doing your research, keep looking at things you actually want to do, even if it's just for a little bit. Like, you don't have to have it all figured out for the next 20 years of your life. Figure it out for at least the next year of your life and then reassess. But if you stayed until this long in the video, leave this emoji so that I know that you are a real one, and lock in. This could be the most fruitful season so far, but you have to start with a plan of action. So I'll see y'all on the next episode of Party One Podcast. Peace.